Welcome, fellow Stardust. Are you ready for a scare? I see you've come back for more. If you're new here, buckle up. And thank you all for joining me today. My name is DeRay, aka Rainbow Fright, lover of all things dark, creepy, and weird. Today's film review will be on psychological thriller Circle.
Hello?
This film is a personal favorite of mine. Last week, I did a subscriber request, and you might have noticed that when I do those, I immediately follow it up with one of my all-time favorite films. This little independent film does a great job at creating suspense and emotion with a dialogue only. I'll remain spoiler-free until this timestamp. The entire film takes place in one location. 50 people wake up in a dark room with an electric orb in the middle of it. They are all standing in a circle formation while also standing on a red circle. Each person also has a red triangle pointed at them. At first, the group is unable to recall their last moments before entering the dark room. But after talking to each other for a bit, they're able to remember that there was an alien invasion and everyone was trying to evacuate the city. A few minutes later, they figure out that every 2 minutes someone dies, and they have the power to vote for who will die next. If no one votes, someone dies at random. So now we have 50 people in a room, all trying to convince each other that they deserve to live over everyone else in the room. I know this might seem like I just gave away a bunch of spoilers, but this is all given in the first few minutes of the film, and the IMDb description even tells you that they are forced to choose one person to live. And there are all kinds of people in this circle. We have a doctor, a pilot, a cancer survivor, a child, a pregnant woman, a soldier, and all kinds of folks. I thought of this film when I did my review of The Platform a few weeks ago. Circle is another film where we're talking about psychological, social, and political issues. We have all these different people with different backgrounds, and it's up to them to decide who is the most worthy person to live among them. Human nature tells us to save women and children. And there's a child and pregnant woman in the circle, so it seems obvious to most that it should be between the two of them as to who will survive. But we have an entire hour-and-a-half discussion over this with people who don't follow this same train of thought. Inspired by the 1957 film 12 Angry Men and the Twilight Zone series, pre-production for this movie took 3 years. Even though the entire film takes place in one location and the actors aren't moving around, the filmmakers were still very meticulous in their storyboarding. And it seems like you would have to be considering continuity with this film. Even though the filmmakers were well prepared for the shoot, it was still a somewhat difficult one because everybody had to be there every day. And because of the dialogue and the emotions felt while shooting, it was difficult for the audience to wind down, according to Michael Nardelli, one of the producers of the film who also plays Eric. Despite all of that, they were able to shoot the film in February 2014 in just about 2 weeks. They were shooting at a rate of 11 to 13 pages a day, which is really fast. Circle premiered May 28, 2015 at the Seattle International Film Festival. Later that year, in October, Film Buff released it to video on demand, and it's now streaming on Netflix. While you might recognize Julie Benz from Dexter or Desperate Housewives, the filmmakers made a conscious decision to pick actors that were not too well known. This would make it easier for the audience to not be biased toward one character or the other. The writer-directors Aaron Hahn and Mario Machone created a web series called The Vault. After gaining some attention with that, they were able to pitch Circle to a few producers before getting the attention of Taggart Films and Michael Nardelli. Both The Vault and Circle were influenced by Cube and a little bit of Saw. I'm gonna have to do reviews on Cube and Saw because I've mentioned them so many times and I love them both. And I would have done a review on Spiral, but I'm not going to the movie theaters just yet, but very, very soon I will be. Unlike Cube, the ending kind of gives us a little bit more closure, although there is some room for interpretation. So I think the writers did a good job of giving us a little bit of closure while still leaving things a little bit open. There's definitely room for a Circle 2, and the filmmakers would love to do it, so let's hope they eventually do. Until then, this film is well worth the watch. I give it 4.5 rainbow skulls out of 5. While it's not an original idea or premise, it is an original execution. I was mesmerized the moment the first person woke up, and I was left wanting more at the end. Now, I'm gonna get into some spoilers. Okay, so right from the beginning, you just knew that it was going to either be the pregnant woman or the child who was going to be the last one standing, because as mentioned before, it's human nature to put them first. However, when put in this unique situation, these people's survival instincts kick in and they begin to target the child and the pregnant woman in order to increase their chances of survival. There are many rules in this circle, and just a few of them are: you can't touch one another, you can't leave the red circle that you're standing on, and if there is a tie, there must be a second vote conducted between the people who have tied. And when it comes down to the last two people, one person must not vote in order for the other person to live, because if they both vote, then they would both die. The entire film is one long discussion about who should survive this alien invasion. In the last scene, it is confirmed that aliens had in fact invaded Earth and put people in these floating pods. Eric survived his pod/circle by voting for the pregnant woman at the last possible second, after the young girl had volunteered to kill herself with Eric in order to save the baby. Eric then wakes up outside and joins the other survivors, who are now gazing at these floating foreign objects. Most of the survivors are children and pregnant women, and then we have Eric and a couple of other men. So obviously when it came down to the women and their fetus, they didn't have to vote for their fetus if it came down to just the two of them. However, when it came down to Eric and the fetus, he did in fact have to vote for the fetus in order to win. With only 2 minutes in between each vote, people had to quickly plead their case as to why they shouldn't be voted for first. With a group that big and only about 80 minutes, not everyone had the chance to speak, and this is reflective of the real world. While decisions that people make affect everyone, not everyone has a voice or say so in those decisions. And those that do speak up end up showing their true colors and getting themselves killed, or they're volunteering to be the next ones killed off, or they are negotiating with the entire group and trying to build a team of allies. It seemed like anytime someone was trying to make themselves look good, they ended up doing the exact opposite. The writers didn't try to create any one villain or hero or anything in between. They just wanted a group of realistic people and show how quickly they would go into survival mode. It's a fast-paced film with purposeful cinematography. The camera movements do an amazing job at creating emotion and moods. For instance, when the atheist was yelling at the young woman when they tied in a vote, in my mind, he was definitely going to die because he was acting like an entitled jerk towards her. We hear the final zap and we hear the body fall off camera. Then there's a slow pan that reveals the atheist still standing, letting us know that the young woman was the one who was chosen to die next. I think this is a surprise to most audiences. This means that the majority thought the quiet, meek girl was either less than the jerk, or that they would have a better chance of going up against the jerk. And after this reveal, the camera stays on him, and we see him transition from grateful back to survival mode. Instead of staying quiet, he immediately starts to question the woman to his right. He claims to recognize her, but it's clear that he's just trying to get into her head. But he does get lucky with one of her comments, and the woman, who is already on edge, breaks down and gives him exactly what he was trying to get from her. Thinking that he's convincing the group that she's a home-wrecking floozy, he instead gets the next majority vote to die. So again, it seems as though the group doesn't like slut-shaming, or they think that they have a better chance over a home-wrecking floozy. The sound design and music is perfect. Every 2 minutes, you start to hear the warning sound that it's time to vote. And the sound is this electronic pulsating noise. And then we hear the participants lock in their vote. notes. And finally, we hear these electronic whirs that are the last few moments before we hear the final zap. And this is real time, so we're actually hearing this just about every 2 minutes while watching the film. Being in this circle, this alone would be enough to drive me absolutely crazy. Man, please bring us a circle too. And I don't usually say bring on the sequels, but I know this one would be good. Let me know in the comments section what you would do if you were in this circle. What would be your strategy? Well, alright y'all, thank you again for joining me today. I truly appreciate you being here with me. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and share it with a friend who you think might also like it. I'll see you tomorrow with a narration of W.W. Jacobs' The Monkey's Paw, and I'll be back next week with another film review. And if you want to join the Rainbow Fright Freight Train, go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell. That way you'll get notified every Thursday and Friday when I upload more videos like this. Alright y'all, peace.